Hey Masters, if you know me and you've been listening to my podcast, you know health and nutrition is number one. Check out AdvoCare products. I am a distributor. Go to livelongersmarter.com. We got everything you could imagine for your health and nutrition goals. If you're interested, at the end of the podcast, at the very end, there'll be more information on the products. Also, LandVoice is one of our sponsors. They have amazing services. If you need leads, please check out LandVoice for FSBO, expired, circle prospecting, a dialer, whatever you need. Go to davidihill.com. Affiliates, you can click the LandVoice link and all of the special opportunities will be there.
Get ready for one more sale, inspiring you with ideas through powerful and engaging interviews with top performers of their field. Now, join us as we discuss techniques and strategies of the coolest and most successful people on the planet.
You maintain a business talking to people that you know. You build a business talking to people you don't know. You're going to get really, really good at lead generating for an appointment. You're going to get really good and really discerning. And in the beginning, you might go on some that you don't need to be on. That's okay. That's all right. I'm not after perfection. I'm after improvement. And in the path of improvement, perfection finds itself.
What up, Masters? Welcome to another episode of Path to Mastery. And because it's Monday, Memorial Day, I do want to start off by wishing you a happy Memorial Day. And listen, special thanks, guys, to all of our vets. Hey, vets, if you're listening to this, just want to say thank you, because without you, none of this stuff is possible. So again, thank you. Now, want to get into an amazing listings-based interview with you today, guys. We have Cody Gibson. He talks to us about listings, and just more listings. And he's a KWU faculty trainer, just like me. I ran into him at family reunion. He was doing an amazing session on the 7 steps to abundant listings, or it might have been the 10 steps, but we talk about a few of those steps today on this podcast. And this is just awesome stuff, guys. It all starts really just with our mindset, right? Our mindset and then the language we're using. So he just shares some really great strategies and is able to simplify. I would tell you, this is not complicated stuff. I mean, he really simplifies the steps that we need to take to get out there and take listings. And honestly, it starts with simply an appointment a day. I mean, figure out how to get on one simple appointment a day. So we're going to let Cody talk to us about that. The interview is awesome, man. I can't wait to listen to it again. Share it with all my team members, and I hope you guys share it too. And please, I ask every week, man, our listenership, we're probably growing about 20% every month. So this has been really awesome. And I want to keep that up. So please just keep sharing. And if you would give us a review, man, that is just so helpful. And I would love to hear some feedback. So if you have feedback for me, or if there's somebody you guys want on the show, let me know. Somebody told me about Mel Robbins' book, The 5-Second Rule. What an awesome book. And guys, listen, Mel Robbins is no joke. She used to be a contributor to Success Magazine on CNN. Just phenomenal book. And she's going to be on our podcast in July. So guys, hey, listen, we're going out there. We're getting these amazing guests, and it's because of you. So keep that up. And listen, guys, referrals, keep us. I mean, I'm still in the real estate business. Central Massachusetts, please look at the state of Mass. We're right in the center. And not only do we want to help you and make sure that you get some mailbox money, right, from the referral, but we want to take amazing care of your clients. So please think about us for that. Hey, anything I can do to help, reach out to me. Love to hear from you. You rock. Enjoy the interview. Hey Masters, welcome to another episode of Path to Mastery. And today, guys, we have the special treat of being with Cody Gibson. Cody is an owner, a CEO in the Portland area. And listen, he owns one of the top offices in the Portland area. He's also an agent because he also, for a lot of years, been in the business 16 years, but had one of the top producing teams. I believe Cody still has one of the top producing expansion teams in the area, which you can talk to us a little bit about. Cody's also a sought-after speaker. He's a bold coach. He's in the Gary Keller Mastermind. I mean, this guy's got a lot of stuff going on. He's a teacher for Keller Williams. and he loves turkey sandwiches. So what's up with the turkey sandwiches, Cody?
You forgot the long walks on the beach and scary movies.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I forgot all that good stuff. So, hey, man, thanks for joining us, brother.
That's my pleasure. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it, David.
Yeah, definitely. And I got your bio. Obviously, I abbreviated it quite a bit. But, tell us a little bit about yourself, man. You've been in business 16 years. How'd you get started in real estate? And let's bring our listeners through that transformation from 16 years ago to today.
It was funny. 16 years ago, I was selling diesel engines. And I had a couple of friends who were real estate agents, two of them that I actually went to church with. One called me like on Wednesday and said, "Hey, do you want to go play some golf today?" And I said, "Golf? It's Wednesday, man. I got a job." Yeah. And he goes, "Oh, yeah, you got a job." And he started talking about being in real estate, and I thought, oh, man, that sounds so good. And I literally thought if these two guys, and they both kind of told me, over the course of a few months about how much money they were making, and they lied. I thought, man, if these two guys could make that kind of money, I'm going to kill it in real estate. And so a few months later, I became a realtor, and what they didn't tell me was the rest of the story, right?
Yeah.
They told me, they said, "I made 18 grand this month." And I'm like, whoa. And, so that was 16 years ago. Since then, I was an agent in Alaska, launched a brokerage franchise in Alaska, a KW office, and was the team leader for 5 years, and then came down to the Portland area and launched a team in Portland in 2010, between Thanksgiving and Christmas of 2010. And I said, listen, I really want to go back and dig into this MREA business, and I've been teaching it, and I want to go do it. I'm going to open this group, and I'm going to sell 100 homes its first year, but I'm not going to meet any buyers or sellers. I'm not going to go on any appointments. I'm going to start it from, arguably level 6, if not level 7. And we did that year. We sold 104 homes. That was 2011. And then we started expanding in 2012, and we were real slow, one city a year for a couple of years. Today, we're in 43 offices. So we are by far the widest, most geographic locations expansion group in the country. And so that kind of, in a matter of a minute or two, kind of brings you up to, what's happening today. I still travel and teach. I teach about 110 days a year, digging what I do, enjoying this industry.
That's excellent, man. I did not realize you were in 43 offices, so that's really cool. Congrats on that. I know we had the opportunity a few years ago to talk. You did start your team. Now, was that your first team? Or I know you started kind of different in the traditional model where you started at the top and worked your way down, right? You said you started at the 6th level. I remember we had that conversation about you hiring a CEO right out of the gate, right? Somebody to run your team.
I hired a director of operations. I filled the role of CEO. I hired a director of ops. When I did that, I had a couple of things I knew that I wouldn't do. And I'm more concerned about a not-to-do list than a to-do list. And so for me, a not-to-do was I was not going to, go to people's homes and list their home. I was not going to work with buyers. The other piece, too, though, was that I was not going to cherry pick. What that meant to me was as a mega, the easy deals that I was able to either find or create or, quite frankly, buy, the leads for, I could hand them all off to the team. The buyer's agents and listing specialists. I wasn't worried about, as a mega, I got to do 2 or 3 a month on my own or 5 a month on my own. And then everything else, I just, from day one, this guy's name is Bob. Bob's ready to buy a house today, right now. Go show a home to Bob. I didn't try to keep any of those. I don't think that's wrong. And it is a path to money. It's just not what I wanted.
Yeah. So
I was willing to take a slower road.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. It's like, when did it occur to you, or maybe even a better question is why, or maybe I don't know if why is the right answer, but like what made you decide, okay, I don't want to work with any buyers or go on listing appointments anymore?
I wanted to do something different. Like in 08, 09, Gary let me hang out in some of the top agents, his private mastermind group. I was a team leader. And I had recruited a bunch of mega agents, and so that was how I, talked him into letting me sit in the room, was to learn. And he said, all right, you can be here, but you can't talk. Sit in the corner, don't ask questions, and don't talk. But you can be here and listen. And for a couple of years, I got to sit there and listen, Gary was talking about things like expansion and franchising the agent business, which ultimately, he ended up saying, don't go that road, expand instead. Though at the time, that's what I thought we were all going to go do. And so in 2010, the fall of 2010, I thought, all right, I want to go start this team. And I started it in Portland, Oregon. I was living in Vancouver, Washington, directly across the river, and I'd only lived there for 10 months. So even Portland was kind of an expansion without even knowing what we were doing. I didn't know. I just knew it was a larger city than Vancouver, so I went here instead. There were more sales at a higher price point, so it just made sense. But I knew at that time, David, I didn't, and no offense to anyone, I knew that I didn't want to be the next level 7 mega. I didn't want to be the next guy on stage who had 6 buyer's agents and 6 listing specialists and a bunch of administrators and was 150 homes in their city. Not that that's wrong. It's a heck of a great accomplishment. I just wanted to do something different. I wanted to do something that I could look back in 20 or 30 years and say, wow, this left a fingerprint on the industry, and this changed a bunch of lives. This was massive. And, at the MREA level, I thought, all right, I could have a couple of people around me who make extraordinary money, but just a couple. But in expansion, I could have dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens that make extraordinary money. And so it was really just an opportunity for a wider impact, a bigger world, and I got to be around, more high-level people.
Interesting.
There was no constrictions.
Yeah.
Didn't have walls.
So with those expansion teams, I mean, how many people? You have 43, you're in 43 offices. How many people is that?
I think that our agent count today is 61, 62.
Okay, got it. So it's more of a smaller, unlike having, all these small teams with 15 agents doing 150 units, you've got much smaller, I'm going to assume a more highly productive agents, right?
I don't know. I mean, we got real clear about our model about 2 years ago. So, for instance, in our Pirate group, which is an expansion group that meets with Gary, there's about 15 of us. And in that group, the norm would be, I'm going to go open in blank city, and I'm going to have a leader in that city and have 8 people around that person, or 12 people, or 14, or whatever. I don't think that's wrong. I really don't. At the same time, I did want to do it differently, even if it was just for, even if it was just for a scientific reason of, okay, well, let's go do it this way. Let's see what happens. And so we got really clear that we look at United Home Group like a platform, and we say, all right, we could have 2 to 4 agents in every market center working our platform, working our leads, working our lead distribution, working their own leads within our structure, using our administration, using our back-end systems and our technologies. We could have 2 to 4 agents in every office, and we aren't trying to duplicate an MREA level business with 1 person and 12 people orbiting around them. And I don't think it's wrong. It just wasn't the way we were building it. This allows us to have 1,200 or 1,400 agents across the country if we expand it correctly.
Yeah, sounds like you're building a solid foundation. I guess that's what the way I would take it. Instead of just
we'll look back in a couple of years and realize if we did, right? Like we'll all know. Time will tell us the mistakes we're making. And Gary made the comment. He said you can literally outlive any mistake you make right now as long as you don't get upside down with money, and as long as you don't get in legal trouble.
Yeah, that's
you can outlast any of them.
That's a good point, man. I want to shift gears, though. I know what I reached out to you about for this conversation was really, I saw you at Family Reunion. You did a session called 7 Steps to Abundant Listings. And right now, probably the biggest challenge most of our listeners are dealing with is getting listings. I don't know if you guys are on the other side of the country. Is inventory is really low right over here. It's at a record low. Are you guys experiencing the same thing?
100%. I mean, in the city of Portland, it's tough, right? And in everywhere else that we are, it's just as tough. And one of the things that I talk about in the 7 Steps to 10 Listings, the original title was 7 Steps to 10, and I love that Keller Williams changed it to 7 Steps to Abundant and said, hey, maybe it's 12 or 14. I dig that. Always thinking a little bit bigger. Though I think some of it lies within our own dialogue. So I was talking with an agent the other day who called me about 7 Steps to 10 Listings and said, hey, I want to get 10 listings too. And I said, well, you probably won't. I said, what? I said, you probably won't because you're talking about it as if you're going to get them. I said, you don't get listings. You sign listings, you take listings, you ink listings, you close, you do all those things. You've never stage at reunion say, hey, last year I got 200 listings. Nope. They said last year I took 200 listings. And I think some of it boils all the way down to the very words we use. I know that's picking on it. I know that.
Well, no, I mean, because it ultimately comes down to mindset, right? I mean, in the first step, and Gary will tell us this too, is you have to think it first, right? If you don't think it, you're not going to be able to do it. So the first step is mindset.
Saying, I'm going to get 4 listings this month. Now, I'd rather you say I'm going to go take 4 listings this month.
And how?
Or the highest level would be I'm going to go earn 4 listings this month. That's like an agent who says, hey, David, I got 7 referrals last month. No, you earned 7 referrals last month.
So how do we change those words, the words that come out of our mouth, right? Is there a way someone can practice changing that? What would you say to somebody who's not accustomed to saying, I'm going to earn 7 listings?
Yeah, fortunately I get to travel and teach and coach Fold, which has quite a bit to do about words, as you know well, and quite a bit about words to use and not to use and programming. And so what I've done for a long time, and especially with speaking and teaching, is I'll take my I know this is silly, my right index finger, my right index fingernail, and I will dig that into my left thumb knuckle when I say a word like that. And it just provides a tiny little bit of pain. I'm doing it right now. I'm certainly not incapacitated. Just a little bit of pain, just a tiny bit of pain. It goes, oh, ouch, stay away from that. And so when I find myself using words like that, just a little touch, a little pinch, as a speaker, years ago, I started this habit of saying, something that I didn't want to say. And it was almost like an anchor in my talks. And so I had to start doing that just to get away from saying, okay, too much. I know that's silly.
No, actually, I think it's brilliant. I don't want to spend a ton of time on this because I want to get into some of these steps. But what if someone's not even aware they're using these words?
Well, then they can pay someone to follow them around and slap the hell out of them every time they say a silly word like that.
Got it. So
that would be option 1. Option 2 would be they start saying things like affirmations. Option 3 would be they start coaching with somebody. I mean, I don't know, man. I really think if someone's willing to, I believe the process unfolds in front of them. I know that sounds a little mystical or airy-fairy. I just really think that when someone's ready, the right teachers in their life appear. I think they start hearing the right conversations. I think they start watching the right videos on YouTube. I think the world just unfolds for somebody when they're this. And they begin to get real clear that if it's meant to be, it's up to me. They get real clear that my destiny this month is to go and earn 10 listings. It's not to get them. It's not to receive them. It's not to have them fall out of the sky, for heaven's sakes. Now I got to go earn them, which means who do I have to be and what do I need to do so that I can have those 10 listings? And if I focus on that, I'll get it. And I can help a lot of people.
So what's the first thing our listeners should be doing now in order to start earning these 10 listings beyond changing our thinking?
Yeah, I think the first big piece, the first pivotal piece is I got to make peace with the fact that I got to lead generate every day until I have an appointment. I have to make contacts. Now, that could be phone calls, that could be emails, that could be knocking on someone's door. I don't really care. It doesn't matter. I have my preferences, though every way works and no way doesn't. I can do anything. I can't do everything. So I have to make peace with needing a appointment every day. So whether you're going to make 10 contacts or 48 contacts, and I got to set a listing appointment every day. And if we get real clear on this, what we're going to find is there's about 22 business days out of the month. And if I set a listing appointment,
so let me stop you for a second, though, because you said something that I want to touch on. You said I can do anything, I can't do everything, right? What do you mean by that?
Yeah. Somebody that mentored me for a little while, I don't even know that this guy even knows he mentored me. He owned a mortgage company on the West Coast, a really large independent mortgage company. I was having lunch with him one day, and we were talking about marketing. He said, Cody, I just struggle with these marketing ideas. He goes, I can do anything. I can't do everything. So I've got to really zero in on these 3. And I've never forgot that comment. Think about that with lead generation, right, David? We come back from things like reunion or different, events, and we go, yeah, I'm going to do these 18 things. No, probably not. Which one am I going to do? Then I'll do another. And, it's like in the book that Jim Collins wrote about how the mighty fall. And he talked about the 5 ways that a company or business falls apart. And one of those ways is the undisciplined pursuit of more. And I think about that. And I think, man, undisciplined. How about a disciplined pursuit of more? What can I bring on, get pretty good at, and then bring on something else? I don't need to wait for mastery because I'm not sure I'll ever reach mastery. So I do need to reach stabilization.
Yeah.
And if I don't reach stabilization, at least momentum, like, all right, it's working. Let's bring on another idea. All right, it's working. Let's bring on another idea. Oh, by the way, who do I need to have in my world, or who do we need to have in our expansion company to make this other idea work? Everything works. Everything works.
All right. So first step, Cody, we're going to make sure we're lead generating every day. And you're saying until we get an appointment. So it's not like make 20 contacts.
Now, if you can make 20 and set an appointment, then awesome for you. If you have a good enough lead generation platform and a good enough database and enough widgets and enough ideas to make 4 contacts and make an appointment, then great, cool for you. Make 4 and call it done. But if it takes you 31, then you got to make 31. You got to make peace with having 1 listing appointment a month, which would give you about 20 or 22 for that's how many business days. And if you're anything like me, then some people cancel, they decide not to meet, they stand you up, something happens, whatever. That's going to give you about 15 appointments or 16 appointments for the month. Or after you set those appointments, you go back and you pre-qualify them before you go out to their home to make sure you're not wasting their time. And you realize, we don't need to meet right now. We can meet in 3 months. So you're going to end up with about 14 or 15, maybe 16 face-to-face appointments. You know, there's enough in there that even if you're not amazing, you're going to start listing 8 or 10 or 12 homes a month. And I think we overlook it. We make it more complicated because there's a piece of our brain that wants it to be complicated. Because the more complicated it is, the easier it is to tell ourselves, well, you know, Cody, that's why I'm not doing it, because it's so difficult. So it's almost like we trump this story up in our own mind that it's harder than it needs to be. There's not an agent listening to this podcast anywhere who doesn't have the ability to set 1 appointment today. Is it a great appointment? Who cares? I have the ability to set an appointment. There's one sitting on my desk if I actually care to look for it. Now, by the way, if you do this for 4 months or 5 months, you're going to get really, really good at lead generating for an appointment. You're going to get really good and really discerning. And in the beginning, you might go on some that you don't need to be on. That's okay. That's all right. I'm not after perfection. I'm after improvement. And in the path of improvement, perfection finds itself.
All right. So an appointment a day, we get that. You know, I'm sure for some of us listeners are like, I don't know how I could possibly do that. Right. So where do we start? Like, you know, is it, you know, we're calling our database, we're calling FSBOs, expireds. Where do we find these appointments?
I think it depends on what you have for money, and I think it depends on what you have for previous business. If you're listening to this podcast and you've been selling homes for, 8 or 10 years and you sell 10 or 15 homes a year, which is fine, that's about 100 past clients, and you probably have another couple hundred people that you know. So I'd start there. I'd start right there. I'd exhaust that, and then I'd start adding to it. If you got your license yesterday and you're super excited about being a real estate agent, like I was one day, you don't get to start there. So I think that sometimes it's dependent on what the business looks like. Now, at the same time, if you've got a little bit of money and you want to put together some internet lead generation, or you want to buy leads, you want to go to, different systems out there and buy lists of people to call, then great, you can do that. Worst case scenario, as good as the market is, as tight as the listing inventory is, the greatest thing about that to us, the greatest gift from that, is that the overall volume of for sale by owners in the country typically goes up. When the market's bad, the volume of expireds goes up. When the market is strong, the volume of FSBOs go up. So I guess you could always resort back to the people who actually said they wanted to sell, and they don't have an agent yet. And I don't think it's a one-trick pony. I don't think you have to work FSBOs. You could sell a bazillion homes a year and avoid FSBOs if you want.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I've heard, from other coaches in the past that, hey, if you just can't set an appointment, then do a FSBO pop by, right? Go meet with a FSBO. Does that count as well?
Yeah, it's one of the steps. When I wrote the 7 steps to 10 listings, it was somebody had asked me this, and Cody, I just want it to be simple. Can you fit on an index card 7 steps or 10 steps? And I just chose 7. I ran out of space, to be quite frank. Can you write on an index card what it would take for someone to model 10 listings a month? That eventually they'd take 10 a month. Now, maybe they wouldn't in month 1, for heaven's sakes. Maybe they take 5, and it takes 6 months to get to 10. Who cares? And one of those steps is to visit a for sale by owner or expired every day. Now, if you've got 21 or 22 business days out of the month, then you would be eyeballs to doors with 22 for sale by owners or expireds. I don't even care if anybody's home. It literally doesn't matter. Because out of those 22 doors, you're going to leave notes on the ones that aren't home, and you're going to follow up. And you know what? If you left notes on 22 doors a month and nobody was ever home, that's not going to happen, though. Let's just assume nobody was ever home and they never went home. And you left notes on their doors. I'll bet you by month 2 or month 3, you'd have 40 to 60 notes up. Somebody would actually call you and go, hey, thanks for stopping by. I do need some info. It'd be 1 out of 50 or 1 out of 60. So it wouldn't be a great model, but you'd have a listing you wouldn't have had otherwise. Some of this is based on being in the way of good things to happen. One of those steps is to see the front door of a FSBO or expired. Now you're going to knock on the door, actually, and once in a while someone's going to be home. And people always say, well, what do you say? You can start with hello. You can literally start with hi. I'm a real estate agent here in the area. Can I help with anything? Now, that's not an amazingly strong script, and it's better than not going. I was coaching somebody, it was years ago, David, and they were selling about 100 homes a year, and they wanted to go to a couple hundred. And I said, all right, well, we're going to have to do some things that you weren't doing. And, I got real clear that you maintain a business talking to people that you know. You build a business talking to people you don't know. There's lots of ways to do that, and the fastest one would be people that already want to sell. And so he decided to go work FSBOs. Now, it was Saturday morning, and he was going to go knock on some FSBO doors. He walked up, he knocked on the door, and the lady came to the door, and he said, I'm so-and-so. I sell homes in the area. Here's my card. If I could ever help, I didn't mean to interrupt. If I could ever help, please call me. And, he turned around and walked back to his car, David. It was a terrible script. And halfway to the car, the lady said, hey, I do want to list my home. He took his business to over 200 listings, and he became one of the top speakers in our field in the East Coast and the Midwest. I just want everybody to realize nobody starts at the top. The very person who went on to teach hundreds of people to work FSBOs and expireds had a day that they were so scared they knocked on the door, handed a card, and bolted. Nobody starts at the top. Everybody starts somewhere, man.
No, I love
Everybody does.
I love it.
And as bad as that script was, it was better than the one the agent didn't use.
You are listening to One More Sale.
I was actually talking to I have a role play partner now because I'm calling a lot of agents. We're looking for talent to bring into our expansion teams. And honestly, I'm calling agents now, and I've called FSBOs and expireds for years and years, right? 6 years of practicing. And now it's, I feel like I'm starting at the beginning again, like when I first started calling expired, you know what I mean? I was clunky. I didn't know what to say. Yeah. I wasn't super confident. And that's how I feel now. Yeah. So it just takes practice and more practice. And that's it. Consistency.
Time on task, man.
Yeah.
Time on task. And, I don't care about FSBOs and expireds as far as having to work them. I don't think there's any one way. I don't think you have to do it. I do think this, though. I got really clear that my business demands it. In other words, I don't want to be a telemarketer, though my business demands we have telemarketing. I don't want to knock on doors, though the business demands that we do it. I don't want to do internet lead generation, though the business demands we have it. I don't want to mail cards. The business demands we do it. At some point, you quit running this like a hobby, saying, well, I like this or I like that. Who cares what you like?
Yeah.
The world needs you to go do this. Your database needs you to go do that. So quite frankly, your business does not care if you don't like FSBOs. Get over it.
It's kind of like treating it like a job, right? I mean, if you're in construction, you show up every day and you build and you swing a hammer, you do what you got to do, right? If you're in a factory, then you're on a line and you work, right? The challenge.
It's so selfish.
I think you said at the beginning when you said somebody told you, they were playing golf on a Wednesday and they were in real estate. You're like, wow, you play golf on Wednesday. And, some people go into real estate and they'll play golf every Wednesday, but they're not doing any business because they don't treat it like a job.
Well, I found out really quick that everybody gets into real estate for freedom, flexibility, and financial wealth. The problem is they take the freedom and they take the flexibility, therefore they rarely uncover the financial wealth. I got really clear on that. And so if you want the financial wealth, you're going to give up the freedom and the flexibility for a little while. In fact, the freedom and the flexibility in our industry is actually the freedom and flexibility to work more. The freedom and flexibility is actually the freedom and flexibility to get your inconsequential items done at 5 a.m. so that you're ready for lead generation and internet lead gen and cold calling or prospecting or whatever it is that you're doing by 8 a.m. That's the freedom and flexibility in our business. It is not the freedom and flexibility to go home early or to not show up. And one of the things I developed this 51 list, and I'm actually teaching it for the first time live in Sacramento. So I just sat down one night and wrote 51 things that would cause somebody to have a better business. And one of them was to go to work at the same time every day and leave work at the same time every day. How silly. How basic is that? Though realtors, I was overhearing a couple of realtors talk to each other, and one said, well, when do you come to work? And, when do you go to work? And they said, well, if I have appointments, I show up when that appointment is. Oh, if I don't, I come in between 10 and 11. Sometimes I come in at noon. And I'm just thinking, wow, I bet your business and your bottom line looks just like that statement.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, listen, a couple more questions with regards to the, steps to abundant listings. I mean, if there's one you gave us some great nuggets, obviously focus on that mindset. We, apply one appointment a day. Obviously FSBO's expired. Those guys have their hands up, right? What else?
Sure,
what else should we be focusing on?
So here's one. So one of the steps is follow-up Wednesdays. And so if you're making enough lead generation, there's lots of tactics, and we don't have time for that. But let's just assume you've nailed down a few tactics, and you're doing enough lead generation to make one appointment a day. What that also means is you're constantly filling this sleeve or this bucket of future business or future prospects or suspects for business. And so I believe in follow-up Wednesdays. Every Wednesday, I want you to follow up with every seller who hasn't listed with you yet. And those are all the people that you call every single Wednesday. And I think the big piece to it is you keep it simple, right? And so a script for follow-up Wednesdays is, hey, Dave, it's Cody over at blah, blah, blah Realty. I just wanted to call and follow up. Do you need anything real estate related this week? Nah, I'm good, blah, blah. Okay, great. No problem. I'll be sure to follow up. Have a great day. Now, 70% of the time, you're going to get voicemail, which is, hey, David, it's Cody at blah, blah, blah Realty. And I just wanted to call and follow up. If you need anything real estate related this week, would you be sure to give me a call? We sold a couple homes this week. I'd love to make yours the third. I'm ready when you are. I'll talk to you soon. I'll call you again in a week. It's very simple, always ending with, I'll call you again, or I'll follow up. I'm never asking permission. Because here's the reality, David. You know this. You've been a great prospector. Your first couple contacts, you probably use your greatest script, then your second greatest script, and then your third greatest script that sometimes works when number one and number two don't. When in reality, what you're actually doing is you're looking for motivation. Well, at that point, what do you say next? I don't think you need to say anything. I just think you need to follow up. Yeah. This is a game of follow-up, and everybody knows that, right? Like lead generation can get you a sale, lead follow-up can get you a business. Those are two very different things, and both are probably important, though one is vital. And if you called every week and followed up, where I really got it was one of our top listers in our hub, who on a bad month will list 3 to 5 homes, and a good month 8 or 10. He was showing me in we use Sync, Commissions Inc. He was showing me in Commissions Inc. his notes. It was called, talked to the prospect. It was a FSBO. Week 2, left message. Week 3, David, 15 weeks in a row. On week 16, the lady calls him and says, I'm so sorry I've blown you off for a few months. Would you come list my home? And all he did every week was call on Wednesday with that silly script. Yeah. Quit making it harder than it needs to be. So that's follow-up Wednesdays. And you just, and what happens is this, the more you do this, the bigger you're going to build that pipeline of follow-up. Maybe your follow-up takes you 10 minutes this Wednesday. Well, if you do this for 6 months, there's going to come a Wednesday where it's half a day. And on that day, you're going to say, all right, this dam is about to break. Because now I've got 68 people or 88 people that I get to call today and follow up Wednesday. Someone's going to list their home today because of this call, because I have waited for the motivation. I'm still in the right place. 6 weeks ago, it wasn't the right time.
There's a great book by this guy named David Hill. It's called The Sales Playbook. And one thing we realized in writing was that about 70%, we researched multiple industries, not just real estate, and we realized that about 70% of our business actually comes as a result of follow-up. But not many salespeople actually really have good systems in place for follow-up. So really, Cody, it's about building a system. And anytime you talk to somebody, you should either be scheduling another call or some type of a to-do, or there's not even a reason they should be in your mailing list, right, or on your database. That's kind of the way I look at it.
They're just taking up space.
Yeah.
If there's no plans. So, I think you're 100% right. With Sync, which is what we use for our CRM, every time we end a call, we're plugging in the next call. Now, that prospect doesn't always know when the next call is. If it's appropriate, we'll set the appointment with them. If it's not, it's just our own reminder.
Yeah.
It's telling us, hey, call this guy back in 7 days. Hey, call this lady back in 2 months. I mean, we're constantly plugging that back in. We control that. Now, one of the other steps is This is the one that people like the most because it's interesting, but I want them to post on social media. And one of the things if I could wave a wand, David, I would do this. If I could stop a post, it'd be the silly one that says, hey, everybody, the market's hot. Call me if you want to buy. Nobody cares about that. And the other one that nobody cares about is, hey, I listed a home and I've got 14 offers in 12 minutes. Yay for me. Nobody cares. There's only two people in the world that care about that post, your spouse and your mother. Nobody else cares. And what I've told people is I want you to do a post on Facebook, and there's other social medias, though Facebook's the easy one to pick on. Do a post that says, listen, I'm working with the XYZ family. It's got to be specific. Looking in XYZ area or XYZ price range. Who do you know that has a home that would fit for the XYZ family? Specific. And what will happen is over time, you're telling your database you have all the buyers because you're the only one telling that story. Let's not forget that sellers want to hire you because they think you have buyers. Quit talking about stuff they don't care about.
Love it.
And buyers want to work with you because they think you have listings. Quit talking about all the things they don't care about. Keep it simple. And simplistic is the easiest form of business. So if you're going to do a post like that, you might as well do it strategically. So research says that the best time to post that is just after lunch on Wednesdays because there's a 20 or 22% uptick in eyeballs. Great. Do that. And if you don't want to do it on Wednesdays, then do it on Saturday or Sunday late morning. About 10 a.m. on Saturday or noon on Sunday, you have an uptick in eyeballs. You might as well have more people looking at the post. Or you can do the other one that says, hey, real specific, listing coming up. Specifically, who'd be a great buyer for this. Specifics. Not, hey, the market's great, call me. Nobody cares. That doesn't tell their brain what to do. Specifics. Now, if you're going to do Facebook, the problem is the three words you have to know is stop the scroll, which I learned from somebody in our industry, John Cheplack. Stop the scroll. You think about how people are just scrolling through Facebook. Well, you got to have something that stops them. Otherwise, you're just noise.
Interesting.
And you could post all day long, and if people don't stop to read it, who cares? You've just been telling yourself a story and hoping that your mom hits like button.
Absolutely. Well, we interviewed Tony Giordano a while back, and he did a really good job on kind of showing us how to work social media. So great tips. I love the specific. I mean that's key, and I took that from your talk and started sending that out to our database too, hey, we've got a buyer looking for a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath. It has to have a 2-car garage in this neighborhood, and it generated a couple of responses. So, Cody, you're massively successful. You got a lot of great things going on in your business. Obviously, you go through, like the rest of us, ups and downs. When things just aren't working right, or you're dealing with a lot of challenges, people leave, all that stuff. Like, what do you do to keep moving forward when things aren't working?
There's a couple of things. In the beginning, it was all internal pressure. So in the beginning, it was Post-it notes all over my house. One of the hardest days of my life, I wrote a Post-it note that was up on my bathroom window, my bathroom mirror, for at least 2 years. And that Post-it note said, you're a winner and nothing can keep you down forever. Being real clear with myself that, what, I'm down today. It's a tough day. It's a bad day. It's a tough thing. So what? I'm a winner. Nothing can keep me down forever. Now, the bigger the business got and the larger the world got around that business, the less it has to be internal, because then it becomes external. Then you have enough things that drag your sorry carcass back into living like the human being you were designed to be. You don't have to force yourself back into it. You think about push and pull. Those internal things like a note on the wall or chanting affirmations, they're awesome, though they're pushing. They're pushing you back into the mainstream of success or back into the current of success. I want you to design things that pull you into it, because you can only push yourself for so long. It gets exhausting. I'd rather be pulled. And so a large enough business or a large enough structure of business will pull you into it. So the larger the expansion company got, I can only have a 5-minute funeral now because the business will come and grab me and pull me back into the current of success. I don't get to have a 10-day funeral. If I'm just working on my own, I can have a pity party for a month. I can figure out a way to do this.
Yeah.
So if the business is big enough, it's going to pull me. Now, the reality is everything happens between our ears. When I was a brand new realtor, the sales manager that morning on my very, very first day, and I'll give you the abbreviated story for time's sake, said, I want you to sell a house a week and you'll be fine. I said, great. Fast forward 16 weeks, I walked into his office and said, I haven't sold a home. It's Thursday. I'd sold 15 homes already the previous 15 weeks. I said, I know it's Thursday. I've got appointments all weekend long. I'm going to get my 16th sale. Just give me till Monday. David, I was a kid. I was 19. I thought he was going to fire me if I didn't sell a home that week because he had said, I need you to sell a house a week. He said the worst thing he could say, he said, Cody, nobody sells a house a week forever. And it took me 4 months to sell the next home. And the only difference was what happened between my ears. I thought everybody sold a house a week, so I found a way because I thought one existed. As soon as he said no one sells a house every week forever, I thought there wasn't a way.
Yeah, I love that. I love that message, man. It's kind of like I'm going back to golf. You know, years ago when I was a kid, I hardly ever played golf, and I was in this putting competition. This is a true story, man. 2 years in a row, I won a putting competition. I did not even know how to play golf. And the reason being is because I did not know how hard a 30-foot putt was supposed to be. I just looked at the hole, and I swear to God, man, it was nuts. And then once I realized, holy cow, I've never hit that putt again. So,
well, someone in the Masters needs to hear that. They need your story.
Yeah. Well, hey, that was an awesome Masters, man, and congratulations to Sergio, man. He just killed it. Yeah. That was awesome.
So good.
So that said, what didn't I ask you? Anything I should have asked you that I didn't?
No, you're good at doing these. You ask good questions. You know, the one thing that I would say in closing is, at the end of the day, what we think matters and our environment matters. It's one of the things I love about expansion, right? And I know that you're deep in it as well. I love the expansion model because I believe the agent gets the best of both worlds. They get all the help of a team. They get all the help of great things at a large team level. You know, Gary made a comment, and I thought it was an interesting comment at Family Reunion. He said, listen, in 5 years, most of you will either be expansionists or work for one.
Yeah.
He said it to 18,000 people. What an interesting comment. You know, and these expansion businesses are getting so large and so good, so darn good on the business side. You know, we're coming into cities and literally taking listings and taking buyers that would have just gone to whoever.
Yeah.
It's massive. It's fun to watch. And I believe that environment matters. I believe what happens to our ears matters. I believe that coaching matters. You know, the other thing too, though, is desire and motivation. So many people say they want to do something. If you watch their actions for a few days, they tell you real fast they actually don't care about it. What they cared about was sounding good when they told you the goal. Until we get over that, we don't move forward.
No doubt. All right, my friend. So how do our listeners get in touch with you?
I don't have a publicist. I don't have people that keep track of people that watch my calendar. And so I have an email address, codygibson@kw.com. Real simple, codygibson@kw.com. Many people will shoot me a message on Facebook, and that's just as easy. We post a lot of videos and content on my business fan page, or whatever it's called. Email's probably the easiest.
Awesome. So if
I love hearing from people.
Yeah, and if obviously you guys do a great job with referrals, and if somebody wants you to come in and do an event, you're obviously a speaker and a trainer, and you do a brilliant job with that as well. I always like to get a book recommendation, Cody. So for our listeners, real estate agents, what would be the one? And forget about Gary. We all know the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, the one thing. All those great books. What's the book recommendation? And this talk today has really been a lot on mindset. So what would you say if somebody wanted to really focus on that mindset shift or that mindset transition? What book would they pick up?
You know, the most impactful book I've read recently in the last 12 months is Grit by Duckworth.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And Gary had our private group read it. I've read it a couple of times. I had our expansion business read it maybe 4 months ago, 5 months ago. Just a great, great book explaining some things that we all probably intuitively know. We just need to hear again.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what's fascinating about it is, like, our soul usually knows the answer to everything. It's a matter of bringing it back to awareness on the front side of our brain. And Grit by Duckworth was fantastic. And if Gary says, I think you ought to read it, I wouldn't read it.
Oh, absolutely. I've read it as well. It's a great book. You guys can actually get yourself a free copy. If you go to davidsfreebook.com, go to Audible, sign up, get yourself a free copy of Grit by Angela Duckworth, correct? Is Duckworth?
Yep.
Right,
you got
perfect.
it, Angela Duckworth.
Perfect. And so, Cody, last question for you, my friend, is I end every interview with this question. What is the one thing you want our listeners to take from this interview today on their path to mastery?
I want you to know that if you're having a tough time, it'll go away. I want you to know that if you're dealing with something difficult or something's holding you back in the business, that has a shelf life. It'll go away if you keep pressing forward. I don't know where you're at currently. I do know it doesn't have to be where you stay. Keep moving, keep pushing. Nothing can keep you down forever. If you want to go take 10 listings a month, you can. And if you're already there and you want to take 40 listings a month in 4 different cities, you can do that too. the ceiling is literally no longer there for you.
Thanks for your time, man. Brilliant.
Thank you, Dave. I appreciate the opportunity, sir.
Hey, Masters, you guys know how important health and nutrition is to me. I just want to talk to you a little bit about products I use called AdvoCare. I've been using these products for about a year and a half now, mostly just for energy. They've got a really awesome drink. It's called Spark. If you want to check out anything, I would tell you, go check out the energy drink Spark. That's what I did for, like I said, almost a year and a half without even trying any of their other products. And then this past January, a bunch of us, January 4th, decided we were going to do the 24-day challenge, which is a 10-day cleanse and then 14 days of just really healthy eating, vitamins, meal replacement, just awesome 24 days just to kind of get yourself on track and get into some right habits. So Richie Ryan did it with us. Guys, he lost, today's February 5th. I think he's at 24 pounds lost since January 4th. Melissa at our office lost 6 pounds. Min at our office lost 5 pounds. Guys, I mean, listen, it's amazing. Regardless, if your goal is losing weight, my goal wasn't losing weight. I did the challenge just so I could experience it. And, I lost a few pounds, but now I put some weight back on because I started using some of the supplements and the protein powder and all the other stuff. So now I've gained about 3 pounds of muscle and just feel awesome. My energy's through the roof. So whether you're looking for energy or you're looking for just wellness, I mean, they've got some amazing green products that I love taking before I go to bed. Or if you're looking for performance, athletic products, we've got the athletic performance products. And then just active, if you're an active adult, maybe getting a little older in the age and you want to just keep everything working the right way and functioning. Listen, Gary Keller said it best. If you don't take care of your body, where are you going to live? And I just love that. So, hey, I just ask you to check out AdvoCare's products. I'm a distributor, so I'd love to help you, talk to you about your nutrition and health goals. You go to livelongersmarter.com, livelongersmarter.com.
You are listening to One More Sale with your host, David I. Hill, author of the Sales Playbook. Get your copy at www.thesalesplaybook.net.